Welcome to another edition of How We Make It Better. In this series, we document the improvements we make on our new Camp Tab 400 trailer. In this episode, we tell you how we installed an Expert Power 12-volt, 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery with a built-in BMS. To charge it, we put in an IntelliPower 9180 AL battery charger and AC inverter. Also, to charge it while we drive, we installed a Renogy 400 amp DC to DC battery charger. To monitor all these new systems, we installed a Victron Energy BMV 712 Smart battery charger. And to improve the performance of our Air 8 air conditioner, we installed the relocated temperature sensor. Let's take a look at how we did this. Now, the first thing we had to do is decide where we're going to install this equipment. So as you can see, here is the gray sewer line storage tube that came in and extended underneath the bed. I came about 2 inches into the area where I wanted to install the equipment, and I cut that tube off. I put a cap on it, and now we store a short piece of sewer tube in the remaining storage area. In the area remaining, we installed the IntelliPower AC converter charger and the Renogy 40 amp DC to DC charger. On the back little wall, you see the input 60 amp circuit breaker and the output 50 amp circuit breaker from the 40 amp Renogy DC to DC charger. The orange cable that comes in and plugs into the yellow is the power cord that charges the AC converter charger. In the original battery box, we installed the Expert Power 12-volt lithium iron phosphate battery. You can see that all of the red power positive lines come to the positive side of the battery. There is a single black cable that is connected to the negative terminal of the battery. It runs up through the bulkhead, comes in and attaches to one side of the Victron shunt. On the lower side of the shunt, there are 3 black wires connected. 2 are the negative leads from the DC to DC charger and the AC converter charger. The 3rd wire in the middle runs down to the negative side of the distribution bus attached to the floor. The cables from the DC charger and the AC charger converter run over to the left side underneath the bed, up underneath the closet, and then into the conduit tubes. I fished them through and pulled them up to the front of the trailer. After fishing the cables up to the front of the trailer, the orange cable for the power for the AC charger converter is then routed across and comes in the back side of the power panel, connecting to the same circuit breaker that the previous charger was connected to. The cable for the display for the 712 battery monitor and the cable for the remote temperature sensor for the AC8 are routed under the floor, up this back channel, and out across in the corner of the shelf over to where the display and temperature probe are mounted. Here is another look at the AC-powered DC charger and converter mounted against this bulkhead. And here is another view of the Renogy DC to DC charger mounted against that same bulkhead. With everything installed, tested, and now operating, I've disconnected the AC from the trailer to let the battery run down and test the discharging and the recharging of our battery. With the AC disconnected, I have some lights on. I've got the refrigerator just turned on. I have the inverter powered on. So I have quite a bit of DC electric power running right now. You can see there are 10.3 amps coming out of the battery. And we'll let this run for a while and then plug the AC back in and confirm that everything's charging. So it's been just a little bit over 4 hours. We have lights on. We have the inverter on. We're currently discharging at nearly 9 amps. The refrigerator just turned off and we dropped down to about 5 amps. Now we're going to plug the trailer in and watch it change to a positive charge. So we plug the power in, and immediately we see 63 amps going into the battery. It's already up to 14 volts, 76.8%, and it's charging pretty quickly. This is an 80 amp charger, and we currently have 61 amps going into the battery. I'd call that a very successful test. So there you have it. We've got a complete installation of a 100 amp hour lithium battery, along with a couple of new chargers. I don't have it hooked up to the truck, don't have that wiring done yet, but I'll update this video when I get the 12 volt DC to DC charger running as well. Thanks for watching. Like the channel, subscribe if you want. We'll be back to tell you again on how we make it better.